Hello, this is Just a Little Hammering with me, Jack, Henry, and Logan. And today we'll be hammering at the kinks in Spiderman Into the Spider-Verse. So Henry, I believe you wanted to start us off?
Alright, so before we actually start talking about the actual movie, I wanted to say, I thought there was something weird going on with like the number of people going to see it. Because I know me and Logan went to see it like the first weekend.
I think it was like
the
day
day
after
it
came out. Yeah.
We were going to see an IMAX, and there was nobody in the line. Like, we got there an hour early, and nobody was in the line until the last 10 minutes before it started.
We were expecting a packed theater, so we showed up really early, and just no one was there. Our whole row was empty except for us. It's kind of funny.
Then, like, this week, I know my parents and my sister are going to see it today, and they said that it was sold out. I mean, I know they're in the smaller theaters, but, like...
But still.
There's people are going there early, like
strange.
Any other movie. I think it was probably just because it went under everyone's radar for coming out. And
you know
now
what?
Everyone's hearing it's great. They want to go see it.
I think it also has to do with the fact that it's completely animated, and people are like, "Oh, this is a kid's show." Because a friend I talked to said they didn't want to go see it because it was animated, and I just thought that was strange. But now that everyone's saying it's great. Now people are going to watch it.
It got good ratings, and then like people try to spread the word about it.
Once everyone heard that it was really good, they wanted to go see it.
Right.
But they were skeptical at first. But not for good reason, because it was really good.
Right. I think, unlike the Aquaman one we just reviewed, we're all going to agree and say this is a good movie, right?
Actually, I have some point. No. It was a pretty good movie overall. My biggest qualm was the Sony product placement at the beginning, and if that's your biggest qualm, it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I think that this is my favorite movie this year. Probably my favorite animated movie. Up there with some really good ones, which is saying
like
something.
Garfield the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. I think this movie was way better than I expected it to be, and nothing to do with like Sony or anything, but they haven't really produced too many like bangers, so it was really good, I believe.
Oh, they had a Venom. That was the last big.
Yeah,
that was bad. That's what I'm trying to say. They didn't really.
They usually
do
don't
bad.
Make good movies.
I like that one.
They made the Andrew Garfield movies.
Yeah,
and
those are terrible.
We don't talk about that.
Exactly, that's the point.
That's what I was trying to say.
That's probably another reason why people weren't too keen on seeing this one. But I think I'm excited to see what they do next with it, because like I think they're definitely going to do more.
They're
now that
totally going to make another Spider-Verse like sequel. I think they set it up pretty good too, not with the instant credit, but just like saying that there's like technology that you can use to cross into other realms or whatever you want to call them, dimensions safely. I think that sets it up really nicely for a sequel. Because the entire underlying issue of this movie was that the Spider Gang, or whatever you want to call them, they couldn't stay in this Earth because of that. But now that's resolved. I think they can dive deeper into going into other Earths, which I think would be good.
We definitely want to see what they'll do with it. Like they have a lot of open ground that they can use. They have a lot of different like Spideys that they can go into, and it'd be nice to see what they're gonna do next.
I just really don't want them to screw it up. Like, if they follow it up with some more garbage, then I'm just going to be disappointed, because that might take away from this one, how good it is.
Right, they nailed this one on the head, so it's going to be hard to follow up with an equally good or better one.
Next time people will actually be expecting stuff.
Right.
Like, unlike this time when everyone's like, oh, this is going to be a crap little kids animated movie. Maybe I'll go see it just to laugh at it.
That actually kind of made me mad that people are saying that about it, because they didn't even it's kind of the judge a book by its cover thing. That's not what you should do. And that's totally what people are doing for this movie.
The one thing I really did like about it is the animation and the colors were very, a lot of times cartoons can be, dull, and aside from Spidey Noir, I felt like the dimensional, the goop stuff, that was very beautifully colored.
It was so crazy. I think that
it was too distracting.
So beautiful.
But no, yeah.
The entire movie was just gorgeous.
Yeah, I thought there was this nice,
so
vibrant colors, because sometimes cartoons that try to be somewhat serious will shy away from those colors because they want to be serious.
Yeah.
But I felt like this did a good job of using vibrant colors and
I
just
feel
looking
like if
beautiful.
they used any other animation style for this movie,
It wouldn't
have
have
been
been nearly as good,
Because
right?
they couldn't tell a story about Spider Pig and Penny Parker and
And
giant
Spider-Man
animated
Noir at
costume
the
in the
same-
same movie.
yeah.
Like they had all these different animation styles, but they actually made it work, and I just thought that was crazy.
It blended really well. This is actually like a new animation style that Sony created specifically for this movie because it's supposed to be like you're diving into a comic, and they're actually copywriting it or claiming it so no one else can use it. That's how good it like panned out in the movie. I thought that's pretty
One
funny.
thing I noticed about it, though, I mean, it's not really a bad thing. Like the first time I went to see it, because I saw it twice.
Right.
First time I saw it, like the first couple minutes in the movie, I was like,
Seizing.
yeah, that was.
It was definitely
intense.
a trip.
But after that, you just kind of forget about it.
Right.
And I was expecting when I would see it again, kind of the same thing. Just like for the first couple minutes, you're just kind of freaking out a bit, like wow. But I wasn't really fazed by it.
Right. Sticking to the topic of seeing it the first time compared to the second time, there was only one complaint I had the first time, but after I saw it the second time, I had it resolved. I just thought the whole convenience of the underground tunnel being right next to Fisk's building, I thought that was so convenient.
Right next to this building, huh?
And then I realized, oh, his uncle's Prowler, so that's why I understand.
Wow, how did he know about this tunnel?
I realized that's how he figured out that the tunnel was there. That was the only complaint I had in the entire movie. Was that. And after seeing it again, I felt really dumb.
I mean, fair enough.
I felt that was good enough that you could go see it twice. Not a lot of movies have that trait where you're like, some movies you're like, I saw it once, I'm not going to go see it again. With this movie, I felt like I could like...
disagree with
No,
that.
I mean, there's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I don't
There's-
usually, though. I mean, normally I would go
Right.
see, like... I didn't see it, but I would see Infinity War twice. I might
Or
go see the next Avengers movie twice.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, I would have seen that twice. I love that
Like
movie.
big movies. Ones that are so amazing that you can't get the same experience when you don't see it in a theater.
You know what movie
like
had that
Infinity War.
effect? I think Thor Ragnarok kind of had that effect. Like, because I went to see it in theaters and I really enjoyed it, and I would totally be willing to go see it again.
But even like within 2 weeks, seeing
Yeah.
it twice, I think that's that good that I would do that. Obviously, because I did it.
I just felt that like, I felt like there's not a lot of movies that I would do it to where you could go back and see new things they didn't see before.
Yeah,
Like,
this one's
yeah.
so deep. There's just so much you can see, and it's not even like 2 hours long like most of their giant feature films. It's like an hour and a half.
And usually, like now, movies are trying to break away from like the 1.5 hour thing and go into like 2.5 longer
Right.
movies. But I felt like for just being so short, it did a great job of making it perfect. Like it did all it needed to do without going over or going under.
I feel like movies nowadays are just getting like bashed, saying that short movies are worse. So, and like comparing this to other long movies, this was a really good movie. I feel like-
I think it's better than Infinity War. Like
Yeah,
I
I
would
agree.
rather
I
rewatch
totally
this
agree.
one than Infinity War.
I feel like they just captured everything they needed to capture in their time frame, and they did a really good job of like expressing it. I heard a lot of people complaining that there was too many backgrounds and stories to understand and like take in during the time frame, but I think I disagree because all you really need to know about the characters is they're Spider-Man, they're not from the other planet, or they're not from the same planet, and they're coming to help Peter.
I felt
Peter
that
Parker.
if you look at them as like minor characters, it doesn't matter. You only really need to know Peter B. Parker and then
Spider-Man.
Miles.
Yeah, it's
and
not
Miles.
like if you don't know who they are, you can't understand the
Understand the
story.
movie.
They're just there for comic relief,
Right.
and it's just a joke that they're there.
Comic relief. John Mulaney and Nicolas Cage did a beautiful job. And I was like, my main man Nick is in here,
I know,
coming in.
I heard that he was playing it, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be awesome. I want to see this now. I mean, I want to see it anyway, but
Usually I complain if there's like too many comedic reliefs in a movie, but they did so good that I can't even complain about
And
it.
they had it's nice to have like a big role, a big person, not do a big role. Like they didn't,
yeah,
they didn't feel the need that they like, oh my gosh, we have Nicolas Cage, he's a good actor, and John Mulaney's big now with like big mouth and all his stuff. They're like, you know what? 5 lines. They didn't like feel the need to like milk them. They just like,
Right.
yeah, because if they would have like played it out even more for more jokes and everything, then it would have felt like, okay, stop
You
it
can stop
now. We're done with that. We get it. Big boy. It's only so funny.
Staying to the same idea, big characters, small roles. I feel like Peter B. Parker from the 616 Earth, you would expect him to be big because he's the most worn Spider-Man. He's the most known and he's the most the oldest in the job. Mm-hmm. You'd expect him to be big, but he's just coaching the entire movie, and I love that. The coaching aspect of him.
What do you mean big then? Do you mean big as in a big role?
Yeah, he was fat.
No.
Is that what you mean?
No. You'd expect him to do more, but he didn't.
I feel like if you're talking do more action,
yeah.
I agree. We've talked just do play a part in the story. I feel like
he did the right part in the story, but you'd expect him to do more.
Okay, action-wise.
Yeah, action-wise. He's just chilling, grabbing bagels.
I thought that was funny. The one scene where they're trying to steal the computer, and then he comes out with a bagel, and all the people stand up in the cafeteria with guns and everything.
And he tried, your turn, you take the bagel.
And the second time I watched that, I was just looking for small details and stuff like that.
When
he threw the bagel.
And
the action word was bagel. I thought that was so funny.
And then you could see, in the tiny background, you could see scientists get hit with the bagel and go, ugh. That was
There's just so much stuff. You see more every single time you watch it.
Right.
I love that. You can just tell that's how much they cared about this, that they did that much and went that deep with it.
You know a cool Easter egg I saw was, I didn't see it originally, but the second time we went to see it, when he sneaks into his uncle's house, when he's not home, and Prowler comes in the window, it pans across behind the couch. There's a painting of a bobcat and the word Prowler in his house. So, that's a small little Easter egg. I thought was funny.
The first time I saw it, it was he's in his house, he's going to talk to his uncle. And the second time, I realized that I didn't, really see that he was writing a note, and that, kind of slipped my mind because I was just, looking at him. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of showed him scribbling. I didn't really see, a page. But the second time, I was okay, I realized that he's writing this note. I don't know why Prowler didn't, see it at all. I was
yeah.
Okay, I'll give Miles a call.
Acknowledge that. But,
yeah.
The first time I saw it, I was thinking, as soon as he went to his uncle's apartment, and he wasn't there, and he was writing the note, I was oh my gosh, she's the Prowler. And I was that's pretty predictable. I can't believe they did that. And then after I saw the movie, I was watching some stuff about other people talking about it, and they're oh, everybody knows that his uncle's the Prowler. I was oh,
I didn't.
I mean, so I guess it wasn't supposed to be a big reveal thing.
Well,
obviously,
I feel the predictability of it really ties into what I was saying earlier about it's so convenient. That just sends it full circle. I feel
I don't think it's meant to be predictable.
Because think about it.
To know about it already.
Think about it. Everything that I said was convenient occurred before the reveal of him being Prowler. You're supposed to think, this makes sense because of this, and you're supposed to rework it.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be some big reveal. It was just for all of you that know already that his uncle's the Prowler. You already know what's going to happen. But for everyone that doesn't know, I mean, you can be surprised.
But I think the way that they had that relationship play out with him eventually dying in Miles' arms, I felt that just did a beautiful job to the story. That really, they gave him so much relatability. You could understand why he's doing this. His uncle says, "You be better than all of us," or something like that. That's just a true Spider-Man kind of thing.
Right.
And it just played through the story perfectly. And then how all the other Spider characters said, "We are the only ones who know you feel like. You're not going through this alone." It did a full circle with me. That was probably my favorite relationship in this, where they saw that the transition from him looking up to his Uncle Aaron, and then that transitioning to him looking up to his dad after his dad helps him paint the mural on the wall at the very end. I thought that was a really good transition. Where
I think one thing that could have been better with that is when he died, how his dad was gonna go after Spider-Man because he thought Spider-Man killed his uncle. I wish they would have showed more him just being angry at Spider-Man killing his uncle, or his brother, I mean.
Yeah, because
the realization that Spider-Man isn't a bad thing, when he says, at the very end, the closest thing they got to that was, I thought I knew, but then I didn't. But if they, showed him coming to the realization that Spider-Man is actually a good thing, I feel it would have done a lot more to that character.
Right, because his dad, I feel like his parents weren't really like developed in the movie, but I'm not complaining because they were only in it for a short period of time. But his dad went from not liking Spider-Man to absolutely hating him for killing his brother, and then actually understanding like, oh, you're a good guy. I feel like they could have done that a little bit better. Now that I'm thinking about it, like diving more into like how he's trying to find.
They could have just
Spider-Man.
showed him like trying when he went to that place where Kingpin was. They could have showed him trying to hunt down Spider-Man
Right.
because he wants to get revenge and take him in for killing his brother.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
then
instead
he
he just
realizes
sits there.
that it was actually Kingpin and not him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, overall, they did the nice transition where, like, Miles learned that you gotta love somebody before, because they might always be gone with Uncle Aaron to his father. I felt that, like, that was really good, like, bonding, or they came together. That was a good part at the end. That was, like, the key relationship that made this movie really good, is that you saw the transition of Miles losing his Uncle Aaron and then spurring him to become this new Spider-Man. Like, that was good.
I feel like the character development in this movie was absolutely perfect. I feel like they did everything perfectly right for character development, and they didn't leave any like loose plot holes in the movie. Like, I can't think of a single plot hole in this movie.
How did Spider-Man Noir solve the Rubik's Cube at the very end?
That doesn't count.
Tell me.
That's a joke, obviously.
Well, he can still see color.
No, he can't.
No, he
He
can't.
just doesn't know what they are.
He can't see
He
color.
can't see color.
Do you
No,
not
he
remember
can't.
him asking,
He
is
can't.
this
Is this
purple?
purple?
No, he just doesn't know what the colors are because he hasn't seen them before.
Oh, actually, you're probably right.
So he
There
can
you
still
go.
figure
No
it
plot
out.
holes.
No plot holes.
No plot holes. Well, how would... Alright, so in that case, he could just go back and tell everyone in his world, this is solved. They're all the same color.
No, they can tell they're different though. They can see that they're different.
Different
colors.
shades of
They're
gray.
It's not just all one color. No, they're still the same colors. He can see them that they're different colors. He just doesn't know what colors are.
Oh, okay.
But that's not important.
That's like
right. Go back to the main story.
But we digress.
Back to what I was saying, the character development was really good for all of the characters, including, like, they all had, like, the same build up to being a good Spider-Man. They all lost someone, which is a Spider-Man classic. They all, like, overcome that loss and realize they can help others, which is another Spider-Man classic, which is what I really enjoyed about it. The only thing I saw people complaining about is when Penny's robot died, why was she sad? Who was sitting next to me when someone
I
asked
don't
me?
know. That's not important though.
No, the reason
like-
they're saying that is because, like, she has a spider. Why does she need the robot? And it took me a while to realize that her father,
Built
who
the
died,
robot.
built the
Yeah.
robot.
Right.
But if they came out and just maybe said it a bit easy, like more understandably, it'd make that scene a bit worse. But I mean, better. It'd make it seem better if they understood why she was crying. But overall, it wasn't
I
terrible.
don't
Like,
think it
it just,
mattered that much.
But that ties back into good character development and, like, story building. That's what I was trying to point out. Like, if you understand and watched it, like, not intensely, but, like, deeply, you'd understand that they really thought through everyone's story and background, and they did it well.
speaking of background, I really like the Mr. Fisk, his like motives.
Right.
I felt like that was a perfect motive. It wasn't like too relatable, but you could still understand why he was doing it. He's crazed, but he still wants his family back, and everybody can relate to that. And that was, I mean, some villains are too relatable. Usually not. It's hard to find a too relatable villain, but he was good.
Savitar, he's quite relatable.
But I'm just saying that Mr. Fisk had a good amount of relatability.
Have you seen the Netflix Daredevil series? And there's another one with Kingpin in it. He his character in those two shows are much better than the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, yeah, but
I feel like they could have.
he wasn't supposed to be the main focus because
But he's supposed to be the main villain.
yeah, but that's not the main focus. They gave him the fact that they gave him a background at all is what's good because sometimes people will be like, we know what you want to see is the origin, so we're just not going to tell you anything about the villain. He's just going to show up at the end and fight him just because you want to see a big fight.
Yeah.
But if you don't give him any motivation, then it just doesn't mean anything, and no one cares.
After the end fight scene, you could see his family appearing, and I thought that was a really good job too.
And you just know he's a bad dude, so I mean, he doesn't need that much background, but he gave him some, so it's fine with me.
I like that for every spider person, there was a villain. They had Tombstone, Kingpin, Scorpion, Doc Ock, and...
This.
No, Prowler.
Yeah.
There's 5 for 5. And I thought that was pretty nice that they'd do that, too. Because if there was only, like, one main villain, then it just wouldn't be a fair
I wish
fight.
they would have
They'd
given
kill
some
him.
more, like, motivations for the other villains, though. I mean, I know
right.
they're not a big deal, but they were there just to give some more cannon
Actually, it's
fodder,
6 and
but-
6 because there's 6 Spider-Man if you include Miles,
Yeah,
and there's also a Goblin.
but he doesn't really count.
He doesn't count.
I thought that was cool. When they
Oh,
showed
yeah.
him.
Goblin King or
Just Green Goblin.
Green Goblin, whatever you want to call him. That was really cool. I thought that was really, really cool.
And then the tie back to the very beginning when he did the same, almost the same kind of like move that the original Spider-Man did, where he like got up to the very top using like the really big swoop and he sticks and comes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I thought that was really good.
I think one thing I really liked is how the Spider-Man from his universe was so put together, and
Oh, yeah.
he was like very confident and knew what he was doing. And then the other Spider-Man was like
A stark
That-
contrast.
Yeah, he was like depressed, and it's just like you wouldn't have we haven't seen
When
that
you say
before.
depressed, it just reminded me of the scene where he's sitting in the shower fully suited up with
Yeah,
a piece of pizza hanging in the
I
bathtub.
can see like if somebody else tried to do that, like in a different movie, that
They
would
just-
just be weird.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "What is this? This is not right."
That's not Spider-Man.
But it worked well because they didn't overdo it, and then they kind of just brought it back at the end by showing him.
And you
getting
were
better.
still allowed to and the thing is with that, little kids can understand that too almost, that he's
Yeah.
crying. Like they might not understand like the divorce and all that
Yeah,
stuff
you need
and
to.
bad financial decisions.
I just thought TGI Spideys. I just thought it was funny that they were poking at Peter B. Parker the entire time of his overweight and his like not as good as the other Spider-Man.
I'm not very liquid right now.
Yeah, the entire movie they were just poking at him, and I thought that was really funny. Like when they go see Aunt May for the first time, she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Peter. A little bit fatter, but it's still Peter."
Oh, I have a shed like this, except without that and without that. There's a mattress though. I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's a lot of Easter eggs in his spider lair. I think my favorite one was the Spider-Mobile. I've never understood why he needs a truck if he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Did you see it? The
No.
big truck?
It's just supposed to be like,
It's funny.
hey, look at that, funny. But I mean, they didn't make a big deal about it, so it was
It was good.
fine.
Yeah.
I liked all the
The
suits from the Spider-Man game. I
Yeah.
thought that was cool, and like from everywhere else in comics, movies, and in the game, I thought that was awesome.
Oh, there was one suit that I was confused on how he got, but I forgot what suit it was. It'll come to me.
Caped suit?
Yeah, where did the
It
cape
was like
suit come
it
from?
looked like Doctor Strange. Or
That's what I
something.
thought.
That's probably what it was. I don't know.
Doctor Strange, Spider-Man.
And probably something from the comics.
Probably.
But
That's the only suit I was like concerned about. Like, wow, that shouldn't be there.
well, I like that they also kind of acknowledged like every other Spider-Man franchise. Like they,
Oh yeah.
in the
They did a good
beginning,
job,
they
yeah.
acknowledged the Raimi. Like they showed like the flashbacks of Winnie's origin story. They showed that. They showed like him fighting Doc Ock and then fighting the Lizard. So they showed Andrew Garfield,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end they show like the '60s Spider-Man cartoon. So
That was
I
funny.
think it's funny that they can like
Laugh at
acknowledge
their
all
own.
that.
I think it's just more of them like laughing at their past mistakes, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Because like when he's just snapping around town, I thought that was so funny. And that's them acknowledging, oh, we messed up. Now we know not to do it seriously.
Yeah, this is overall a lot of good. It paid a lot of homages, I guess,
Yeah.
to like a lot of things, but it didn't overdo it, and it didn't like steal anything directly. It had its own story,
Mhm.
but it still mentioned that it wasn't the only one. It mentioned that there's a lot of other good Spider-Man things, but it still kept to its own story.
You know what else I really liked about this movie? Oh, sorry. The when Miles first gets his powers, he goes and buys a Spider-Man like merchandise suit, and that just reminded me of like the old Spider-Man where he's fighting Macho Man Savage in the cage with his own
yeah.
homemade suit. I just thought that was funny, and I like that they added it to this story too.
But like, I mean, I think the reason they did it is to show like bad Spider-Man Miles Morales and then good Spider-Man Morales, because you could tell, okay, he's just starting off, he's in his first suit, a total crap store-bought suit,
Yeah.
and then you see him come in with the Spider-Man all sprained, and you can tell, okay, now he is a Spider-Man. You can see that transition.
Right. I feel like the suit develops with him, and that's a good aspect too.
I think the main message of the movie is so good too, because it's like all the other Spider-Man movies, but in the other ones it's not as obvious. Like the main point of Spider-Man is anybody can be Spider-Man because you can't see him, you don't know who he is.
Right.
It could be you, it could be anybody. It's just a normal guy. And in this one, they really
Actually
show
show
that
it,
because there's so many different versions of him, and just some random kid turns into Spider-Man. So actually, anybody could be Spider-Man.
They came out and said that in the conclusion, and I felt that was really good. It's you with like when he was swinging
and then
around.
And like, you'll know when you're ready or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact line.
It was a good like message that like really resonated with some people, and I felt that was a good job.
Just like some of the other Spider-Man movies, like the Andrew Garfield ones, you're not thinking like,
so,
oh,
like, douchey. And
it's like, oh, that could be anybody.
Yeah.
But no, he's like some cool guy.
Right.
That's not relatable. When he's like a quippy little
nerd,
then you can relate to him, and
Right.
everybody can understand where he's coming from.
That's why I think I like the Tom Holland one better. Like the Tom Holland Spider-Man better than the other ones, because he's just like an
he
average
looks
little
like a kid too,
tiny dude.
and not like a 30-year-old
30-year-old man. Right. I was just gonna say something, but I lost it. Oh man. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyways, I really want to talk about the Doc Ock character, because I felt it was a really good decision to make her a woman, because they did not have a lot of female villains, and if they just made it like
She's
big,
the only one.
yeah, I know.
I feel like that doesn't matter though.
Well, I felt it was like a good difference, because if they made him like the old, if they made him regular Dr. Octavius, he wouldn't really complement Fisk really well. It seemed like I would think they would butt heads a bit.
Yeah.
Because those two characters, like...
He's really well, she's smart too, but she's able to be controlled.
And Doc Ock, he's always been like a leader in everything he's been in.
And so if they had used that kind of Doc character, it wouldn't like really go with the Fisk idea. But, I mean, you can still see that she was butting heads when she's like, it's our reactor, or like whatever.
But she waited to say that until he was gone.
Yeah, but like I felt that they did a good job of just putting her in.
I don't think the real reason they did it was because they need like
more female representation.
I mean,
or whatever.
that's a good way of stopping people from complaining about it, which is fine with me. Because if I hear people like, "Oh, there's no female there's no black, whatever," like, okay, sorry, that's not how it was written. But like this, I think it's fine because it's a different dimension too.
Right, that's not the reason.
Because if they did an actual Spider-Man movie and they made Doc Ock a woman, I feel like people would be like, "That's wrong." But some people would be like, "Oh, that's good." And this way, it's like no one's gonna complain about it. It's just.
I was just talking more like that they didn't like butt heads with Mr. Fisk, and like it was a good reason.
I think the way they represented each and every like character in the movie is really unique because they had so much room to work with because this has never been done before. Like I love the Scorpion remake in this dimension or Earth or whatever you want to call it, and I thought that was really cool. And they did that with a couple villains too. Like they did that with him. Doc Ock. Actually, I think that's it. Never mind.
Whatever.
I would say that I also like the Fisk design too, where he was almost a caricature. He was almost a caricature with how big his shoulders was and how tiny his legs were.
His head.
And
like
his head.
It was like it was in the middle of his body.
Yeah.
But like I felt that was like it was really good like design. Like it made it clear that
he was massive.
He was massive. He was clicking a pen, and the pen looked like a.
Oh yeah, and then he breaks it in his hand.
Yeah.
It's like it's just even more. He's more cute, intimidating.
Right. Yeah. I think my favorite Kingpin scene was when Miles and Peter Parker, B. Parker, were like sneaking up to the lab, and he's getting out of the car, and he's just like he's big compared to the car. I was like, all right,
how does he
that's
fit
a little
in there?
fishy, but all right, I like
and
it.
He said, I can almost imagine him stepping out of the car and the car going like bouncing with all the weight recoil.
What I thought was crazy was because the movie was rated PG. Like there was 2 times where he picks up his fist and
And
slams him and kills him. Like, I was like, holy crap! There's like kids going to see this movie. I know they didn't show him like getting brutally murdered, but like it's kind of bad.
But he said, "Take care of the body." That's bad.
I mean,
I feel like that wouldn't have actually cut it in. Like, it shouldn't cut it in an actual PG movie.
Whatever. I don't think it's that big a deal. I just thought that was kind of weird.
But I mean, that was a good job though. Like I feel like the way he set it up with him not having a mentor, and then him trying to look and try to like, his original motive was, I gotta do this because Peter died, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then his next motive was, Uncle Aaron died, so now I have like a reason. And then finally he's the new Spider-Man since 2 days, and that was like a good motive transition.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that I really liked how they did. Every time they started a new story, they started the exact same way, so you knew exactly what was happening.
Book transition.
You just made me think of it when you said, "I've been Spider-Man for 2 days," because that's what he said when his comic book slams down.
The repetition was nice.
I feel like that helps, so you understand that it's developing.
Yeah, and
the
you
new
don't
character.
need to draw all the origin stories like
Right.
they do in all the other movies. Like, you know what it is pretty much. We're just gonna make a joke about it and remind you.
They took time for the first two, which was Peter B. Parker and then Gwen, and then the rest they were like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
it
was like
Miles's was just like the
ending. It was a conclusion.
of the movie, so that made
so
sense.
they had to take time with that one too.
But it was better than just exposition dump. This is exactly what this character does. This is everything that's happened to them and their entire life that you need to know about to understand what they're doing.
It did a little bit, but it didn't
It wasn't
too much. It was just enough. It was just the amount you need to know
Yeah.
to understand the character and why and what they're doing and why they're doing it. I feel like Spider-Man Noirs and Spider-Pigs, I like that they kept it really short and just to the point because they're not important characters. They're just jokes. And
I beg to differ. I think they're the most important characters in the movie.
I think it's funny that Spider-Pig's origin was different. He's like, yeah, same story, except for I was a spider bit by a radioactive pig or something like that.
I'm Peter Parker. Anyways, this was just a little hammering where we were hammering out the kinks in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm Jackson.
I'm Logan.
I'm Henry.
And this was a good time.